Good morning and welcome back to my channel. It is Sunday morning here for me, and so what that means is pancakes. So let's head into the kitchen now and let's make some delicious Sunday morning pancakes together. So I've just got out all of my ingredients that I need for the pancakes. I like to take my Sunday mornings just really slowly. It's sort of the day, that last day before you're sort of back at work and all those sorts of things throughout the week. So I like to just have a bit of a lie-in in the morning and make my pancakes, have my cup of tea, and just sort of chill a little bit before I kind of get into preparing for the rest of the week, basically. So today I'm going to be making strawberry pancakes. I happen to have strawberries, so I've just cut them up here into light little pieces. If you don't like strawberries, you can use whatever you have on hand, basically. So if you want to do banana pancakes, apple and cinnamon, blueberry, chocolate chip, or you can just make them as plain pancakes, whatever you prefer. This recipe is really adaptable and you can just do whatever works best for you. So as always with my recipes, this is going to be gluten-free, dairy-free, nut-free, and refined sugar-free. But it is absolutely delicious. I make these pancakes every week. Every Sunday I have pancakes. It's my little treat to myself. I do make a full batch of pancakes. I don't eat all the pancakes. So while I'll make them up and I'll cook them all up, the leftovers I actually just pop in the fridge, and I sort of have them later on as little treats with like jam on them, or if you have Nutella or peanut butter or something like that, you can kind of put them on the top and just have them cold or heat them up in the microwave or the oven. If you are cooking pancakes for a family, you may need to double this recipe. Kind of just see how it works for your family situation and kind of go from there. All right, so let's get stuck into this. It's a very simple recipe. As you can see, very few ingredients. So first up, I'm just going to be using plain gluten-free flour. So 1 cup of gluten-free flour. So 1 cup gluten-free flour into the Magimix. And then I'm just doing 1 tablespoon of baking powder. I have organic olive oil here. You basically just need an oil. So olive oil, coconut oil, whatever sort of suits you best. You could probably use butter if you don't need to be dairy free, but I'm just using some olive oil. And you need 2 tablespoons of that. Then you need 1 egg. And then you need 3/4 of a cup of a type of milk. So I'm going to be using an organic coconut milk. You could use a normal dairy milk, you could use almond milk, rice milk, oat milk, Whatever milk you have, you could certainly use that. I'm using coconut milk because I'm going to be using this in a recipe later on, and because it's only 3/4 of a cup, it doesn't actually use the full tin of coconut milk. So I will use the remaining coconut milk in a recipe later on today. So as I said, 3/4 of a cup of milk. And that is it. So I'm just going to mix that. If you're making like apple and cinnamon pancakes, you'll obviously want to add the cinnamon at this point as well. But if you're doing, you know, strawberry or blueberry or banana, you can just add it at the end and kind of just stir it through manually. It goes without saying, you don't need a Magimix for this recipe. If you just have a bowl and you just want to mix it by hand, it's exactly the same thing. I'm just using the Magimix. Okay, and there you have it. That is our pancake batter. So I'm now going to add in my strawberries. And then just sort of mixing them around in here. So again, if you've got blueberries, if you've got chocolate chips, if you've got banana, whatever takes your fancy. It's a very adaptable recipe. So once we've mixed that all through, I'm just heating up the fry pan on the stove top now, and we're just going to place these on and get cooking. I just wanted to show you, so I have the pancakes on here. I've got the stove top just above medium for my stove. Everyone's stove is completely different, so you might just go lighter first. Don't go full bowl with the heat. You don't want to burn them. They don't take long to cook at all, but yeah. So that's them there. So the recipe I made today, those sort of quantities make 4 really good sized pancakes. They're actually quite a thick pancake as well. I'll show you once they're cooked. But yes, so I won't eat all of these. Some of them will go into the fridge, as I said, and I'll have them as little snacks with like jam, or, I mean, I won't have Nutella because I have a nut allergy, but you could have Nutella with them, or peanut butter, or just warm them up in the microwave or the oven and eat them like that. They're really delicious. But so they are cooking away. The second light here, I've also got the tea kettle on. I know I could just have an electric tea kettle. I really enjoy the ritual of making tea. I have all of my loose leaf teas. I have some delicious organic tea bags, all different flavors, and just being able to pop it in the stovetop kettle. This is a whistling kettle, which I know is super old school, but as I said, the ritual of it, it brings me peace being able to just pop it in. You know, it takes it on a electric stove top. It doesn't take that long for it to heat up and boil. It makes this little whistling sound, and then I can just pour it in, and it's quite a relaxing sort of ritual to have, I think. But yeah, so that's all going. So I'm just going to pot around the kitchen now and pop some things away and do those dishes while these are cooking, and then I will flip them over and we'll do the other side. So this is sort of the color that you want to flip your pancakes. You don't want to let them burn, but you just want them to be slightly golden on one side, and then flip them over and do the other side. So this maybe takes, I'd say, 2 to 3 minutes on, as I said, on the just above medium heat on my stovetop. But yeah, so that is what they look like. Oh, they smell incredible and they look delicious. And so here is the finished pancake. So doesn't that just look delicious? As I said, they're quite a good size, and this is my pancake, so I am going to just touch it. I've washed my hands, and you can see they're they're a very thick pancake as well. Ugh, absolutely scrumptious. So I have my pancakes with maple syrup. You can obviously have yours with whatever you normally have. To plate up, have my cup of tea, and just enjoy my delicious Sunday breakfast. So I've just popped outside. I've got my little harvest basket here. And I just want to harvest some spring onions and some of the capsicums for making my lunches and my breakfasts for the week, which we're going to do together, I think. I've not shown you those recipes before, so we might do them together now. But I'm going to see where I can prop you up. You've seen me harvest spring onions many a time, so I won't go into it too much. But as you would know, I harvest my spring onions by just cutting them off at the base. It just means I get a continuous supply of spring onions, and they're basically just cut and come again. But yeah, so I'm going to set you down here somewhere where you can kind of see, and I'm going to harvest some of those for lunches and breakfasts for the week. Hopefully you can sort of see there. So I'm just looking for sort of ones that have got a bit of thickness to them. So this one here looks like a good one. So spring onions are in the basket. So I'm going to head over now and just harvest some of the cucumbers, honestly, capsicums. Alright, so this is my little capsicum plant. It's actually, I think they call them snacksicums because they are little baby cucumbers. Can you sort of see them in there? I've got a few, so there's a couple of green ones and there's a little red one down there that I've just popped in a little bag to kind of protect it from being eaten by all the little bugs. So I'm going to harvest a few of these now. Gosh, this plant is just going wild. Lots of new ones coming. And so these are the little capsicums here. So as I said, they're quite a small little size, but they're a snacking capsicum. So when I meal prep my breakfasts, I'm actually going to add these in. So I've got a few little green ones and I've got one that has gone red just there. Delicious. Alright, so I'm back inside, I'm in the kitchen, and I just wanted to show you, so what we're going to be prepping today is lunches for the week and breakfasts for the week. So I have two kind of pie dishes, I think they are. I have two of those. So one will be for lunches, one will be for breakfasts. I basically use the same recipe for both, except the vegetables and other ingredients that I use are a little bit different. So some are, so like let's just say this was the lunch one, some of those ingredients will be a little bit heartier, a little bit different, whereas the breakfast ones will be sort of more focused on breakfast ingredients. So I'm going to pop you up on a tripod, and I'll sort of just show you, I'll go through the ingredients and what I use for which one, and we'll go from there. This hopefully won't take us too long. I'm keen to get through this quite quickly and then kind of progress on with the day. As I have said, it is Sunday. So it's one of those days where you're sort of prepping yourself for the week, get a load of washing on, that kind of thing. So we will move through this quite quickly, but luckily it's a very easy recipe that I use. So for this, I'm actually going to be using the Magimix, but as always, you do not need the Magimix. You can just, you know, cut, dice, slice things, mix things, all by hand in bowls and things like that. This is the Magimix. I've just taken off the metal bowl that we used this morning for the pancakes. I will be popping that bowl on later on to make the sort of filling. But at the moment, I've just got the food processor attachment on with the medium-sized bowl, and I'm using the 2mm slicing blade for this. So the first thing I'm going to be doing is slicing up the potatoes. I've got 3 potatoes here and I've just peeled them. So I'm just going to pop them in. And I'll just show you. So I do potatoes first because I actually layer them on the bottom. So I'll bring one of the dishes over. So that's it there. So I'm taking that off. And then you can see here the potato is sliced into little pieces. So then what I'm doing is just placing those slices at the base, and that's going to make the bottom of my, I think you would kind of call it a quiche. For the purpose of today, let's call it a quiche. So it's going to make the bottom of my quiche. There is no pastry with this quiche though. So we're just going to do a bit of a layer of potato. So let's say this is going to be my lunches for the week. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the breakfasts for the week. So think of this as a bit of a breakfast quiche. So if you were going to make a fresh omelette every morning, that's kind of what we're doing here. We're sort of just prepping it so that it's easy in the morning when I'm in a rush and I'm trying to get out the door to get to the office and things. I can just grab this, heat it up, and kind of eat as I'm, you know, getting ready and starting my day. I'm all about the ease. Quick, healthy meals, things I can prep, and that are also allergy friendly. So, the other really brilliant thing about this particular recipe is that they're completely adaptable. So, I mean, potatoes usually always in season, but if capsicums aren't in season, I just won't put capsicums in. If mushrooms aren't in season, I'll pick something else. And so, depending on what you enjoy eating, you can really just adapt these ingredients, like the filler ingredients, for whatever you want. So this is just what I'm making, and this is what is currently in season. These ingredients will change as the seasons change. You might add, you know, sweet potato or sweet potato or pumpkin, green beans. I'm trying to think of other things that I've added over the years. Anyway, you get the gist. You kind of can just you can make it your own, basically. So layer of potato is done. Okay. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut up my spring onions. And then I'm going to, so for spring onions, the spring onions are only going to go in my lunch quiche. So I'm just going to sprinkle these over the top. If you have, like, sometimes I'll add kale or you'll add spinach. So whatever I've kind of got in season in the garden, sometimes I'll add that in as well. So keep that in mind if you're growing your own kale, or if you have sort of kale in the fridge that you're using for sandwiches, you can definitely pop it in here. The next thing I'm going to do is some sun-dried tomatoes. Again, that's just going to go into the lunch quiche. They look a little bit gross, but they taste incredible. So I'm just going to cut them up into little pieces. And you would have seen on the footage how amazing were all the little critters out there. There were so many dragonflies. I think I got quite a few of them on camera. There's a lot of dragonflies. You would have seen the lady beetle. There's lots of bees, butterflies, just definitely the time of year out there. There's always something going on in the garden. So just to show you, this is my lunch quiche currently. I've got the layer of potato, I've got the spring onions just sprinkled, and then I'm just going to sprinkle the sun-dried tomato over the top. Like so. Now, these are my green capsicums that we just harvested together. So I've washed them, and I'm actually going to put the green capsicums in my breakfast quiche. As I said, if you think of the breakfast quiche as kind of like a big omelette, you would sort of have capsicum in your omelette. And then similar to what I've done with the spring onions and the sun-dried tomato, I'm just going to sprinkle this on top. So you can see the little seeds in there from the capsicum. You can actually keep those seeds and replant them, and then you'll get more capsicums. And just that way you don't have to constantly buy capsicum plants or new seeds. You can use the capsicums you grow for sort of continuous harvest, which is amazing. Similar to the last one, I'm just going to cut them up really fine. I'm pretty sure capsicums are incredibly high in vitamin C. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure I read that somewhere. We've got flu and things like that going around here, so anything you can do to increase your immune system. You'll note we harvested more capsicums than just these two. So I've kept these two for me, and I'm actually giving, or I'm going to give the other two to my mum so that she can pop them in her meals for the week. Where I'm at. This is the breakfast quiche. Obviously make sure you wash your hands before you do any of this. This meal is just for me, so I am using my hands. But yeah, so we've got the layer of potato and then we've got the capsicum on top. Swinging back around to the lunch quiche, I actually put organic red kidney beans in that quiche just for some added fiber and protein. These particular beans have no added salt. I'm pretty sure some kidney, like red kidney beans, can have a lot of added salt in them. So I guess just be aware of that. But these are the ones that I use. They're like $2 for a can of kidney beans. So they're very good value for money. And they kind of just make the lunch quite filling. So there's these quiches are all vegetarian. They're not vegan, but they are vegetarian, dairy-free, gluten-free, sugar-free, all of that. And they're vegetarian. So the kidney beans kind of just give it that little bit more of a substantial kind of lunch vibe. So I'm just going to open this up now and I'm just going to rinse them out. So that is what it is currently looking like there. Layer of potato, we've got spring onions, we've got sun-dried tomatoes, and now we've got the red kidney beans. The next thing I'm going to do is add mushrooms. I'm going to add mushrooms to both quiches. So I'm just putting the slicing blade back in. And I'm just going to do up some delicious mushrooms. I'm just going to quickly wash these. So I'm just chucking them all in. So that's them all sliced. Now, as I said, I'm going to add the mushrooms to both quiches, but just to show you what I'm doing, I'm basically, again, just sprinkling them kind of evenly, or as evenly as I can, over the top. So that's one. Now with the breakfast quiche, the next thing I'm going to add is some peas. So these are frozen peas. I'm just gonna, again, as is the theme here, I'm just gonna sprinkle some frozen peas over the top. I guess for inspiration for the sort of ingredients here, I kind of think about like what ingredients, what would a restaurant put in their quiches? And so they'll often have, you know, capsicum, they'll have peas, mushrooms, potato, that kind of thing. And as I said, completely adaptable. If you don't like mushrooms, if you don't like peas, you obviously will just put in the things that you enjoy. So that is the breakfast quiche coming together. Now, the other thing I'm going to add, which is maybe a little bit rogue, I'm going to add to my breakfast quiche, I'm actually going to add some chia seeds and I'm going to add some pumpkin seeds. Just to give some added nutrients and some added variety in my diet. Again, not for everyone. If this is not something that you would enjoy, no need to do this. But so these are just some chia seeds. Add it in. And then some pumpkin seeds. Lovely. Now the last thing I'm going to add to the breakfast quiche is organic psyllium husk. Psyllium husk to me has no flavor or anything like that, but it is very high in fiber. It will also kind of puff up a little bit. So when we put our, well, I'm trying to think of the word is, the filling, I suppose, in for the quiche, like the egg mixture in, it will kind of mix with that and it will puff up when we're cooking it. But it is really, really high in fiber, so I do add that on top. So just sort of a light layer. You don't need to go crazy. But it also, I mean, as I'm sure you know, fiber is good for many things, but one of the good things about it is it just makes this really filling. So it kind of keeps you going until lunchtime. So that is pretty much the breakfast quiche done. That's all I'm going to add in there today. Sometimes, you know, when I go to the market and I get different fruits and vegetables, as I said, it will evolve and it will change each season. If I see something that looks delicious, I'll add it in. But for today, that is what I'm doing for my breakfast quiche. Swinging back around to my lunch quiche. So in my lunch quiche, I'm going to be adding some grated carrot as well as some sliced zucchini on top. So I'm just going to swap. So this is the Magimix grating disc. This is the 2 mil, I'm pretty sure. It's the smallest one. So I will set that up. Pop that in there. And then you'll see in there all grated and ready to go. And you know it, I just sprinkle it on as evenly as I can. Once this is cooked, we'll actually cut it up into little slices. And then what you can do is, if this isn't enough for you for lunch, you could either just have this for morning tea, you could add a salad with it or some extra roasted vegetables. You could add a really delicious potato salad or a pasta salad. Whatever takes your fancy. A really lovely green salad or Caesar salad on the side. But as you can see, it's just a really super healthy, adaptable, easy to make lunch recipe. Next, I'm going to do the zucchini. So I'm just swapping back to the slicing disc. And then what I do with the zucchini is I sort of just place them on the top. Kind of like if you were making a pie and you were using like pastry or something on the top, like a little cover. I don't know why I do that, but this is just what I do. Other really good thing about this recipe is you can sort of slice it all up and then freeze it. So you can sort of like prep it and then make all the slices and then individually freeze them, just so you have some lunch or even dinner meals kind of ready to go. And then, as I said, you could just add, you know, a side salad with it, or, you know, you could have chips with it if you really wanted to, or a potato salad or a pasta salad. And it just becomes a really delicious meal. And as you've seen here today, I'm using basically the same kind of egg mixture for both, but one has sort of got what I would consider to be breakfast kind of ingredients, and this one is kind of my lunch ingredients. All right. So I'm just going to take that off now. So both of my quiches are done. I'm going to put the metal bowl back on. Now, to ensure the filling is evenly distributed, I am actually going to make the filling twice. So one will go into one and I'll make it again to go into the other one. You could potentially just double the mixture, but I kind of want to make sure that it's really evenly distributed so that it comes out really delicious. So I'm just going to grab the ingredients for that. So I have 4 eggs. So just to reiterate, this is the recipe for 1 quiche. And then we need half a cup of milk. So you'll remember earlier today when we were making the pancakes, I said to you that I would actually use the rest of this coconut milk. Well, I'm going to be using that now. So half a cup of milk. If you don't like coconut milk, if you don't have coconut milk, you can use almond milk, oat milk, regular dairy milk, rice milk, whatever it is that you use normally, whatever you have in your fridge. And then next, 3 sort of tablespoons, fairly well heaped, of plain flour. I'm using gluten-free flour, but if you're not gluten-free, obviously you use whatever you need for yourself. And then just half a tablespoon of baking powder. And then you can just add in all of your sort of spices and things like that. So I'm popping some salt. I'm popping in some ground paprika. And some pepper. If you like chili flakes, whatever you like, you can pop in here. And that's it. That is our filling. So I'm just going to mix that. So I'm just going to scrape it down off the sides there. And then we just pour this over the top. All right, done. That is the lunch quiche all ready to go. Probably doesn't look like much now, but you'll see once it's all cooked, it looks absolutely delicious. So I'm just going to do the breakfast quiche. While I'm finishing this one, I'll do that really quickly. I'm just going to preheat the oven to 190 degrees Celsius. All right, so those are the 2 quiches done. So we've got the lunch quiche and we've got the breakfast quiche. They don't look like much, I know, but once they've been in the oven and they're all cooked, they will be absolutely scrumptious. Super easy, super quick to make, and just really nutritious, and something that you can just really quickly pull out of the fridge or freezer and kind of go about your day. So yeah, I'm going to pop these in the oven now. As I said earlier, they're both going to go in the oven at 190 degrees Celsius, and they will probably go in there between 50 minutes and an hour. My oven is probably about 55 minutes, so check your oven. Maybe check it at the 45-minute mark and then sort of just monitor it from there. So I'm going to pop these in now. All right, so this is the end results. So this is the lunch quiche and this is the breakfast quiche. So they're still quite hot. They've been out of the oven for maybe 5 minutes now, but they are still quite hot. Once they've cooled down, what I'll do is sort of cut them into little wedges. I tend to be able to get 5 wedges out of each one. And so that's sort of my Monday to Friday. And then I just pop them into containers and pop them in the fridge or freezer and go from there. So they're absolutely delicious. And they're so easy to make, and going through the week and knowing that my meals are kind of ready to go. I don't have to stress about anything in the morning, what am I having for breakfast, etc. Particularly on that Monday to Friday is just really helpful. So hopefully this sort of sharing this recipe with you has given you a little bit of inspiration if you're looking to meal prep something for lunch or for breakfast. Well, I hope you have enjoyed spending this slow, wholesome Sunday morning with me. If you try any of the recipes that I have shared with you today, I would absolutely love to hear your feedback and your thoughts in the comments. Just out here watching the bees. Well, from me and the resident bees in the cottage garden, I'm going to bid you farewell. Thank you very much for joining me today, and I will see you next week for another video. Bye.